You're about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
Welcome back to the Dr. Daliah Show. 1-877-Dr. 1-877-DOC-DALI. So since COVID, many people have been using telehealth, which I think is a fantastic tool. I'm so glad we have telehealth. But they've been using it so exclusively that they are forgetting how to go and seek medical care. And it shows. And it's starting to get kind of frightening. And I think people are getting so used to all they have to do is call a doctor on the phone and get what they need, that when the poop is hitting the fan, they are at a complete loss of where to go and how to do it. I had a couple calls this weekend. One was a gentleman who had noticed he was having excessive bleeding in his underwear. And we think what might have happened is one of his veins in his scrotum might have ulcerated to the skin, and he was bleeding from one of his varicosities, or he could have had cancer or something else. And he called, and he said his wife had wanted him to ask for an antibiotic, but he's bleeding. And I'm like, you need to go in and get seen. And he was really nice, bless his heart. But I think people are just getting so used to, I could just call and get an antibiotic. That's not going to fix everybody's problems. There was a mother, beautiful, sweet lady, calling up, freaking out because her son was doubled over in the car, completely disoriented, completely dizzy, didn't do drugs or anything, just acting out of the norm, and she didn't know what to do. And I'm like, get him to a hospital. And she's like, yeah, I wanted to make sure. I wasn't sure. And I think people are thinking that they have to go to the telephone first, and this isn't their fault. I remember working at an urgent care, one of the urgent cares I worked at, and people were coming in going, why aren't you, and I was like, why aren't you going to the hospital? This isn't an urgent care problem. This is severe. They said, my insurance won't let me. I have to see you first. And then if you say I have to go to the ER, then I go. And I'm wondering if that might be what's going on, because the acuity of these telemedicine patients are so high. And I'm like, why aren't you going to the hospital? Now, I haven't been told by a patient that the insurance refused them from going to the hospital, wouldn't let them, and they had to do a telephone call to handle their emergency situation. I haven't been told that yet. The most common response I'm getting from patients is, how do I do that? How do I go to a doctor? I'm like, you call your doctor. You haven't been seeing a doctor. You don't go for your physicals and your vaccines, and your child doesn't have a doctor. No, we don't have a doctor. We use you guys, which is a telemedicine company. Or I go, well, you go to an urgent care or an ER and you walk in. They go, how do I do that? Now, I didn't go to the doctor a lot as a kid. We couldn't afford to. But when I had to go, like when I had an ear infection, I remember, my mom, wrapped me up in a coat or whatever I needed and, got me to the doctor. The doctor took a look at me. Then we went to the pharmacy and that's what we did. Now, I understand since Obamacare, a lot of doctors have left. So I know Obama promised everybody could keep their doctor, and most of you do not have your doctor. You do not have a regular doctor. You lost your doctor. My patients lost me. I had to close down in 2016. I decided to go teach and do full-time radio instead, because it was the high deductibles were killing my patients and killing the practice. No money was coming in because everybody had $10,000+ deductibles. And so, people lost their doctor. I get that. But if you haven't gone to or learned what your insurance allows you to do in terms of your local urgent care or getting a local primary care, you're going to be then forced in an emergency situation to be calling and waiting an hour for a doctor to call you back on telemedicine just to go, what are you calling us for? You got to go in and get seen. And I think a lot of people are really, after all these years of not going to medical providers on a regular basis, really at a loss. They don't know where to go. It used to be simpler. You'd call your doctor, you'd go in and see your doctor. There would be same day visits. And then the doctor would say, look, I need to admit you, or you need to go to the hospital, or I need to call. And then I would call the ER saying, look, I'm sending a patient. This is a patient that needs emergent care. Just to let you know, I evaluated them. I'm sending their EKG, sending all their paperwork, etc. Or I might have to call an ambulance and have everything ready for the paramedics and that kind of stuff. And there was a process. And now the average person is completely alone. The average wait time for them to go in and see a medical provider is months. So they're wandering around on their telephone, not knowing where to go. And they're having some significant medical issues, not breathing, chest pain. And the big deterrent is the cost. They now have insurance where if you do call 911, you're going to get financially spanked. If you do walk into an urgent care, it's going to be expensive. So what I recommend you do is really study your insurance and know what you have and read it in and out and search for a primary care provider. That's what we're here for. And interview them and see if they're going to be here to stay, if they're going to work with your insurance long term, and what their process is if you are sick. Because if they're like, look, we're just too busy, just go to your local urgent care or ER, well, then they're not helping you out. But if that's what the average doctor is, if it is overwhelmed where they're not going to be able to see you same day or direct you, then you're going to need to learn what is your urgent care on your plan, what is your ER. And maybe you should practice it out. I mean, I told my mom, I told family members, look, know where your local hospital is, know the hospital that's covered on your insurance, and have a process. Who are you going to call? Do you have a to-go bag? Now, do you have family members? Do you have your advance directive? But be organized. Because the average person is in complete chaos, disarray, and they just don't know how to go and seek medical care. Because they haven't had to do that because they're on the telephone most of the time. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Don't go away.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now to answer your questions for free. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell our listeners who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me join you to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now and find out how much your case is potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. If you think you deserve compensation, call now to find out how much you qualify for. 800-710-5100.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Hot Shot Secret Stiction Eliminator.
Stiction, that sticky friction, undermines the performance of diesel engines. Third-party ASTM testing verifies that Stiction Eliminator removes 2 times as much stiction than any alternative on the retail shelf. Stiction Eliminator is formulated to be left in the engine oil. It works as you drive.
Available at truck stops, Tractor Supply, O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and online at HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret. Powered by science.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to TotalWellness.com. Supplements made for physicians only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube. Click like and subscribe. I am so excited that the Starliner astronauts are coming home sooner than expected in terms of the rescue mission, but they should have never been stuck on the ISS as long as they have. But the NASA astronauts who crewed the Boeing Starliner could hopefully be on their way home soon. According to USA Today, weather conditions off the Florida coast where astronauts Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams will land with the two members of a mission known as Crew 9 prompted NASA and SpaceX to move up the mission's return date. Wilmore and Williams are now expected to board a SpaceX Dragon capsule with the Crew 9 team to undock early Tuesday morning. I think splash is supposed to be at about 5:49 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The four spacefarers, including NASA astronaut Nick Hague and Roscosmos cosmonaut Alexander Gorbanov, would make the water landing Tuesday evening near Florida. So originally NASA was targeting Wednesday. So the fact that they could hopefully come home Tuesday, I'm sure they are ready to come home. So it has been a long, long stay. They went there in June, and the mission was only supposed to last, what, was it 6 days, 10 days? And then the Boeing vehicle was had a slew of technical issues, and they were not able to come back on their Boeing Starliner. So Wilmore and Williams is now hopefully coming home with Crew 9. And so that's these four astronauts of the Crew 10 mission. Four astronauts of the Crew 10 mission reached space on Friday to replace them. And so the Starliner astronauts will hopefully come back. Apparently, they said they are going to undock around 1:05 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be a 17-hour flight back down to Earth. It's at about 241 miles, but still, in space, it's a little different. It's not going to be like flying to, I don't know, Salt Lake or Denver or whatever. Anyway, so it's a 17-hour flight, and they should hopefully land at 5:57 p.m. Eastern Standard Time off the Florida coast. So NASA said they are going to provide coverage of the undocking as well as landing. There's going to be a live stream scheduled to begin at 12:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the space agency will resume covering the Dragon's return voyage around 4:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time before the spacecraft's planned deorbiting, burn, and water landing. So that'll be good. Now, the Crew 10 is now going to be taking over for Wilmore and Williams, and they're going to be at the space station, and then hopefully they'll be able to come back at a normal time. Actually, I think they're going to be there about 6 months. So it's about time. I know that Elon Musk had said, which wasn't a shock to me, but it's a shock in that this could happen, where Elon Musk offered to bring them back sooner, and Biden said no. And I know people are debating that, if that really happened, but if Elon Musk has the emails and has the proof that he asked, and he said, let me help, and we could only surmise that it was for political reasons, why else wouldn't you, as Biden, want to get the credit for bringing them home? I don't know. Unless he didn't want to give Elon Musk the time of day, I don't know. But I can't stand that politics gets involved with common sense. And so this could be a huge, huge win for Elon Musk coming in to save the day. Thank God there are other options, and really brings a lot of questions as to why Boeing is having so many issues. I know the Department of Treasury Secretary Sean Duffy has gone there and urged more oversight and wants them to do the job right. But this is an example of how, if a company is not doing the job, I don't understand why we contract Boeing to the degree that we do. I understand they're a large company. I understand they've done some amazing things, but they're having a lot of problems now. And if they don't have consumers and travelers' trusts or NASA's trust, they're going to go under. So they need to get their acts together. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. This some of you have asked about this Rhode Island doctor who was detained and deported. Apparently, Dr. Rasha Alawai has been deported back to Lebanon. And there's been some back and forth as to why. In fact, a federal judge has postponed a hearing to allow U.S. Customs and Border officials to respond to allegations that they willfully disobeyed his order not to deport her. They deported her anyway. He wanted to be able to review the case. I think they want at least 48 hours notice. But from what I understand, she already went back to France and is on her way back to Lebanon, if not already in Lebanon, lickety split, after they found some evidence on her cell phone that was not very pro-American. So allegedly, the contents of what was on her cell phone led to her detention and ultimate deportation. Federal authorities say in court documents that they filed the deportation case of the 34-year-old doctor because they found sympathetic photos and videos of Hezbollah leaders on her cell phone. They also found various other Hezbollah militants in the deleted photo folder of her cell phone. They say with the discovery of these photographs and videos, CHP questioned Dr. Alawa and determined that her true intentions in the United States could not be determined. So allegedly, it wasn't that, okay, they just deported her, like some media outlets want you to think. They interviewed her. They could not necessarily rule out that there was a link to Hezbollah and that her intentions here were completely innocent, and so she got deported. On Friday, U.S. District Judge Leo Sorkin in Massachusetts issued an order that Alaway not be deported without giving the court 48 hours notice. But despite the order, she's a nephrologist, from what I understand, from Brown Medicine and Lebanese citizen, did arrive back to Lebanon Sunday morning. Now, people are going to protest. They're going to be upset. But this is a concern, obviously. When we think that terrorists may allegedly be planting people here, right? We have this stereotype that it's going to be somebody who's going to wear a vest or somebody who's going to drive a taxi into a crowd. We're very naive to think, and I'm not saying this is what she is. She's innocent until proven guilty. But we're naive to think that militants or cartel or terrorists would not use medical professionals or professors or first responders or other individuals to do some of their dirty work. And when you saw those nurses, I forget what country they were in, New Zealand, where they were admitting to an Israeli that they let Israelis die because of how they sympathized with Hamas, as opposed to what happened to Israelis on October 7th. It shows that there are individuals within the healthcare system that might be malicious. Now, they might have just been talking talk, but that's very odd coming out of a healthcare provider, saying that they would let somebody die. Remember, there was a medical student, I believe she was from Toro, New York, and she became a resident, and she had been on social media bragging that she couldn't wait to write prescriptions to Jews that would hurt them. And then I think she lost her residency. You cannot be in healthcare and have biases or sympathy to terrorist groups and possibly be in a position where people are vulnerable and in your care. And so now a concern is are there other individuals? And again, she's innocent until proven guilty. But are there cases going on where they will see that individuals are being left to die? Now, anybody who dies, they have to, there has to be either a morbidity and mortality report, or there's sometimes a hearing based on the hospital, or if there's something that seems to not be right, it does get investigated because the hospital, the medical board does not want to have a reputation of endorsing somebody or giving somebody privileges or giving somebody a license that could be hurting somebody. So, but sometimes these things could be really, really subtle. Or they might not care about the subtlety and do their damage and then leave. So apparently she was on a valid H-1B visa. And so, hopefully we'll find out more, but we'll keep you posted. 1-877 Doc Daliah. Dr. Daliah here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Lisa Wolf here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you. And be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Daliah, 1-877 DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube. Click like and subscribe. So I'm a little mixed on this. At first, I was like, wow, this is cool. Harvard will be giving free tuition to families who make under $200,000. Free tuition. I'm like, dang, that's really cool. That's really nice. Until you stop and go, wait a second here. So I'm mixed. All right, so this is the latest. Harvard, because they have been, dealing with a lot of bad PR, especially with what has happened with the student protests and the Hamas sympathizers and things like that. Harvard announced today that undergraduate tuition will be free for students of families who make annual incomes of less than $200,000. They want to make Harvard affordable to more students than ever. The university will also make students completely free for families who have annual income of less than $100,000, covering tuition, food, housing, health insurance, and travel costs. This is going to begin in the 2025-2026 academic year. According to Harvard University President Alan Garber, said in a press release, putting Harvard within financial reach for more individuals widens the array of backgrounds, experiences, and perspectives that all of our students encounter, fostering their intellectual and personal growth. He says, by bringing people of outstanding promise together to learn from and from one another, we truly realize the tremendous potential of the university. So they say this expansion will enable 86% of U.S. families to qualify for Harvard's college financial aid. Also, if your family does make under $100,000, you will get a $2,000 startup grant for your first year and a $2,000 launch grant for your junior year to help support the transition beyond Harvard. If your family makes $200K, you will get free tuition and additional financial aid for other build expenses. So going to Harvard costs about $60,000 a year. I think it's like $59,700 something. Some sites say $55,000, some say higher. When you throw living expenses on top of that, it's about $80 to $100 a year. It's expensive. And the whole Ivy League issue Although I've been watching their basketball, they can play pretty well. I watch the whole Cornell. I've been, it's not just all about academics. They got some pretty good sports programs as well. But it has always bothered me that only the rich or the president's kids get to go to Ivy League, and that you had to have an Ivy League degree to get anywhere. And I have been so proud of my degree at UNLV, at UNR. I'm, Nevada grown in terms of my education. I did my last year of medical school through UCLA, but I graduated UNR, and I'm so proud of it. And when patients would say, I need to know what medical school she went to, because you know nothing about how good my school was, because compared to students at UCLA, the medical students weren't allowed to do all the hands-on procedures that we did training from UNR. So I delivered more babies. I assisted in more appendectomies, hysterectomies, C-sections, because it was all hands on deck where I trained. So, when people say, well, I need to know, did she go to Harvard? Did she go to Yale? Did she? No, I didn't. And I think I'm a better provider for that because I got more hands on. That was me. Not to mention, I learned Spanish. I was in an area where I had to speak Spanish all day long. So I was able to become fluent in medical Spanish, at least. So I think my education was absolutely fantastic going to a state school. And I love the fact that I didn't have loans. So seeing that Harvard is now going to buck that, where they are going to allow middle income. And actually, a family making $200,000 is doing well. That's some decent money. Allow other Americans who are not filthy rich to be able to go and get an education at Harvard is really, really nice. But where you start to go, is this is very, very nice. It's very altruistic of them. But who is paying for this? And so to provide for that tuition, although, some people would say, really, you have to pay $60,000 a year in tuition. Is it really worth it? There's a medical school where the students are paying $50,000-$60,000 a year. And I'm like, really? So I think a lot of these tuitions are, over exaggerated. And a lot of the money is a waste. But who's paying for this? So somebody could say, well, the rich kids are paying for this. Well, one thing that rich kids and rich families know how to do, is not have to pay for things they don't need to pay for. And so if all you have to do is show your income is $200,000 to get your tuition waived, that's some bookkeeping. That's some, you're going to live on your own. You're going to show that you're making less than 100 or less than 200, and then you're going to go get the free tuition. So I think there's going to be a lot of people trying to manipulate that. So that, because imagine getting a Harvard education for free. And then is this money going to cover them all 4 years? Promising free tuition. Okay, you need to make good on that promise. And then is this money coming from benefactors, from people who are donating to Harvard? From what we understand, the coffers that these Ivy Leagues have in terms of money is a lot. But then I'm thinking, if you really have all this money to donate to Harvard, would that money be better spent on the homeless, on, the children's hospital that needs to provide care for kids? So free tuition, so a kid who's in a family who makes $200,000 could go to Harvard is nice, and it makes Harvard look good, but can the money be better spent? And if a Harvard, because, once these schools say, look, we could do this, you could go to our school much cheaper. Well, then somebody's going to question, why the hell am I spending $60,000 to begin with? And if you are paying for housing and tuition and travel costs, then, so it's going to be very interesting to see the dynamic of it. Like I said, at first I'm like, this is good. It's about time that Ivy League isn't just for, the blue bloods or whatever they call them. That regular folk can also get a Harvard education. But that's a lot of money. That's a lot of write-offs. That's a lot of altruism. And you wonder if maybe that could go to something better spent. Why don't you just lower tuition? Do you really have to be that expensive to begin with? It's interesting. There was a local school that, from what I heard from the medical students, had money to write off tuition. And then it turned out that they didn't have the money to write off all of the tuition. So what they were going to do with that class was write off some of the tuition. So the students thought that everybody was going to get a discount on their tuition. But that's not what happened. They picked students to get the free, and the rest of the students paid full price. So the students were telling me they're sitting next to somebody that got a complete full ride, and they had to pay full price. Okay, that made people grumpy. And I could see why. I understand, why don't you be a little bit more even? And then what went into the thinking of, well, we're going to let them have it 100% free and not this person? How was that chosen? And from what I understand, it wasn't financial aid based, anything like that. It was random. And so people get mad when they have to pay for something that somebody else doesn't, and they are putting that money to something that they would think would be going to charity or going to outreach, and then it just basically goes into, somebody else who, is going to get a free ride, and their family makes $200K. So I'm mixed on this, but it's interesting. 1-877 Doc Dali.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-910-7500. That's 800-910-7500. Call now to find out how much your case could be worth.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Self-reliance. It's not a phrase we hear much in our culture these days. It might conjure up images of pioneers, the West, rifles, strapping men, and strong women. But what does it mean for us in today's world? The New American Magazine has just released its latest collector's edition, Self-Reliance, Foundation of Freedom. In it, the New American authors outline the necessity of self-reliance for a free people, tips for self-reliant living, and the importance of not giving up hope. This unique edition includes articles on the self-sufficiency of the founders, preparing for a worst-case scenario, firearms, financial self-reliance, the importance of community, and many other topics by expert writers. Now, for a limited time, the New American is offering a bundle of 3 collector's editions, Self-Reliance, The Great Reset, and Trump World, for just $19.95. Available at shopjbs.org. Visit shopjbs.org today.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show, 1-877 Doc Dali, 1-877 DOCDALI. So you lie. How many of you have lied to your dentist, to your doctor, to your gynecologist? We lie all the time. And I catch you guys in lies. There was one woman who tried to say her daughter had strep. I said, okay, upload a picture. And she uploaded a picture from Google because you could tell. And it was an adult tons. And I'm like, really? People lie. And this is a very interesting survey as it pertains to our teeth, because we talk about how important our mouths are to our overall health. you don't take care of your teeth and your gums, you could be at risk not only for losing your teeth and being handicapped and disabled in terms of being able to chew food and enjoy food, but you also, with the inflammation, could be at risk for heart disease, stroke. They've even found links to cancer if you don't take care of your mouth correctly. So why would you lie to your dentist? Well, because people don't want to have dental procedures. They think that if they BS the dentist and the dentist is like, well, you're good, see ya in 6 months, they're like, whew. And don't be doing that, people. Not when it comes to your teeth. So according to this survey conducted by Talker Research and commissioned by Aspen Dental, they asked 2,000 American adults about their dental hygiene. According to Fox News, the study spoke to the mixed emotions Americans experience when it comes to dental visits, including fear, anxiety, and discomfort. In the poll, 60% of respondents confessed to wanting to impress their dentist during office visits, leading 57% of them to lie about their dental hygiene. 48% of people said they believe their dentist could see right through their lies. Of course they can. 64%, and your hygienist. Nothing gets past your hygienist. 64% of respondents said they felt guilty about their dishonesty. Millennials and Gen Xers felt the least guilty about lying compared to older Americans. They say a third of those who have lied to the dentist, 33%, didn't want their dentist to think less of them. See, I'm friends with my dentist, so there is no way I'm going to be able to impress him with my dental hygiene, because we socialize. He knows so much about me that, it would take me brushing 2 million times a day to slowly eat away at probably what they really think about me. So I don't have to use the dental hygiene to change someone's opinion. It's pretty, it's already there. He's a good guy, though. I don't think I'm going to impress him with my dental hygiene. A fifth say they don't really mean to be dishonest, but these are panic lies. Gen Zs were the most often to panic lie. So panic lie is, do you dental floss? Yes. Do you water pick? Yeah. Why are you panicking? Well, because if you find a cavity, I wanted to be like they think. This isn't to make fun of Gen Zs. We all do it. We think that they're going to do less of an exam, that they're going to do less of what needs to be done because it's hilarious to me. So anxiety is the biggest obstacle keeping Americans from going to the dentist. 24% have it, 29% of women, 17% of men. 22% said the actual dental work put them off. Baby boomers felt the most uncomfortable. And 13% have avoided the dentist's office because they were embarrassed about the poor dental hygiene. So here's the thing. Why would baby boomers be more fearful? Well, because baby boomers were before all those fluoride treatments we had to have. So many baby boomers, and my mom was technically a traditionalist, but she calls herself a baby boomer, which I'm fine with, had to undergo some really rough dental visits. And once you go through that, you can be pretty traumatized, whether it's post-traumatic stress or just the anxiety of it. Whereas many of the younger generations, they got laughing gas. These doctors would put Novocaine in without you feeling it. Dentistry has gotten better. So many of these younger generation, they never felt dental pain. But a baby boomer, also many baby boomers have felt something hit a nerve. I had a dentist office mess up on me. And so the older you are, the more you've experienced. So that's why baby boomers might be more anxious. So they said the survey revealed that nearly a quarter of Americans had discomfort or soreness in their mouths once a week. Millennials experiencing more discomfort than other generations. Now that's interesting because you would think the Gen X's would be the worst. And the reason why I think the Gen X's would have the worst issues in terms of soreness is because we had bubble yum and Bubblicious. That big brick of gum completely malaligned our jaws. We dislocated and subluxated our TMJ joints, and we had to hide it. And I would, it was acidic, and I would be hiding my burger under my lung. So my teacher wouldn't call on me and then get mad at me because you weren't allowed to have gum in class. And the hour I would be hiding that bubblicious or bubble yum in my mouth, I'm surprised it didn't eat a hole in the floor of my mouth. So I would think it would be the Gen X's, but they say the millennials are more likely. They said 45% of respondents have not visited a dentist in the last year. Nearly 1 in 5 Americans have not seen the inside of a dentist's office in 5 years. I told you this is what happened with COVID and the idea of, well, you don't go in. That's what I talked about earlier in the show. People are not going to the doctor anymore. They're also not going to the dentist. What is that doing to their health? We are not doing telemedicine dental visits. It's not going to happen. You need to get a cleaning. You need to have an exam. Excuse me. And it's really frustrating for people to think, well, because of COVID, I don't have to do the right thing. So I cannot emphasize more how important it is to do your proper dental visits. Now, some people will say, well, I brush my teeth. Oh, you do? You brush your teeth? Yep. I brush my teeth every day. Okay. Are you dental flossing? Are you water picking? Are you checking how deep the grooves are? You shouldn't be doing this. A dentist will or a hygienist will, but are you checking how deep the grooves are with your gum? Are you checking the integrity of your fillings? Are you looking at any growths under the tongue? Are you checking for lymphadenopathy? Are you checking for oral cancer? What a dentist does, don't minimize it and dilute it down to, well, all they do is clean my teeth and I have access to polish. It's not about that. The polish is the icing on the cake. What they look for is signs of pathology and things that could really affect you. And you're like, well, I don't want to be told I have gingivitis. I know I have gingivitis. I'm going to wait till the gingivitis goes away. Please go. By the way, how old is your toothbrush? Is your toothbrush yellow? You need to get rid of the toothbrush. Go for the clean toothbrush. Now, for those of you going, I don't want to go to the dentist because I'm nervous about having a procedure. I don't like going to the dentist either. I don't like going to the dentist, and I don't like going, for pap smears. Okay? As far as I'm concerned, those two orifices don't need to be looked at. But I go because it's important to do. And I don't want how I talk myself into it is I don't want to have cracked teeth. I don't want to need extensive dental work. I've been very, very lucky. Remember, we had to have those trays of that fluoride treatment, which was disgusting. And they stuck those trays and you're drooling and you're in pain. And I would cry throughout those dental trays. And my mom's like, trust me, you want them. I didn't get them and I had rotted teeth. So you need those dental trays. And I would be crying. I would hate going to the dentist. Now they don't do that. They don't make you do those fluoride treatments because now toothpaste has fluoride, etc. We don't want to over fluoridose kids, but I like the fact that toothpaste have fluoride. But for those of us losing our enamel, losing our teeth strength, loosening teeth, exposed nerves, you don't want to wait till it gets that bad. So go for your checkups. All right, 1-877-DOC-DALIAH.
Did you know that healthy arteries make a gas? Yes, actually 3 known gases. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch, and nitric oxide is a gas that's readily made all day long to keep our arteries open by relaxing the blood vessel walls. By doing this, our circulation is increased, bringing blood, oxygen, and nutrients to every part of your body. Both age and poor diet can lead to a loss of this precious gas, and in turn, blood pressure can go up, energy can go down, and you can get tingling in your hands and feet. Well, our product, Ultimate Nitric Oxide, can easily help fix this lack of nitric oxide. Go to TotalWellness.com. That's TotalWellness.com, where we are helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.